Everybody, we are doing our live with Guruji one day late, and we are going to be talking about different states of consciousness. I posted a video yesterday on a state of consciousness when we just wake up and the great opportunity that in between state presents. Hey Rusha, with yeah, so I'm gonna adjust these things a little bit. Yep, much better. So yeah, I did a post yesterday as well about morning Brooklyn, or at least BKLYN. And so today, let's live. I deliberately did that post yesterday, right? Because we just think that there are two states. There's like a fully awake state and there's a sleep state. But there's so many other states in which we can create. Let's go deeper into understanding those states. I believe there's already, okay, I don't know, Guruji is not here, but he will be here any minute. And yeah, so let's talk about all of those states and understand from Guruji. Good morning, Nisarga Anisa, how lovely. Bonjour, bonjour. Yeah, it's 7:30 here in New York. We had a blizzard this last week. And I felt like because I came from a long trip from India, things have gotten really busy here, busy work-wise, just catching up with all my clients that I work with, getting everybody on track. Things can go a little off. Everybody is actually really kind. Whenever I go to India or I'm traveling, all my clients are very mindful of how much they engage, or they just kind of keep their problems a little bit away unless it's important. So I've been very, very lucky. Hi Tripti, how are you doing? How's London? Is the weather here? The funny part is that whenever there is a blizzard here or it snows, it's not that cold. So it's actually lovely. We went out in the snow, and I also want to do a post. I want to know how many people actually have to deal with winter and cold, because there's some things that you can do that you can endure colder weather better. Invincible vibes. How do you cure palpitations? There are many reasons for why you can have palpitations. It's usually either it could be anxiety, it could be a genuine wind imbalance, it could be so many things. But we'll take all of these questions in my Saturday lives. And yesterday I put up a poll whether you guys want to hear about meal prep, you want to hear about Kailash Jivan, you want to hear about toxic people, and what everybody was meal prep was voted the most. But Guruji is here. Hey Vedant, good to see you. Pranam Guruji.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, Guruji. I've had a crazy busy week, but I'm okay.
Okay.
I managed to slow down this morning. Spent a long time in my meditation, really, really slowing down. So I feel better already.
How is my sound?
Sound,
Video, everything is okay?
everything is perfect, Guruji. It's all
All
perfect.
right. Okay. Okay.
How are you, Guruji?
As usual, fantastic.
It's opened up, huh? The Intimacy is opened up for visitors
Yes.
and medical
Yes.
tourism. Getting busy, Guruji. Thank you still for removing time for us, for taking time out for us.
Yes.
So, Guruji, we've been talking about the last couple of sessions. We did a lot of revision of the key concepts of where one begins, of Chittavritti Nirodha, Tapa, Tantra, Yantra, Kundalini. We did all of that a little bit. Now, so Guruji, let's talk about the states of consciousness, because when we talk about these things and we understand these things, at least intellectually, and sometimes even in our meditation, it's the same person, but we experience different states of consciousness. Um, even different states when we're awake. different states when we're sleeping. And I know you've spoken about this. So, Guruji, what are those states of consciousness and how can we use them to understand our connection with the universe better?
At the outset, let me repeat my usual comment. The subject which we are discussing is our, subject is incomprehensible. Never our consciousness or our intellect will understand what the answer of this question.
Mm-hmm.
Then we keep discussing.
Mm-hmm.
So different level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
This is what is the subject today.
Mm-hmm.
But what is consciousness?
Is the state of presence. Where are you coming from? Which part? How are you interacting with the world? It's a state of being.
Yes, yes. Thousands of years people have been trying to explain like you. Then finally, masters came to know that, or the scientists, spiritual scientists, came to know that it is beyond the sense. It is subject to experience. It is beyond explanation. Then they formulated many methods to take the sadhaka, the seeker, to that level of experience. That is how we have different yogas, methods through which we can reach to the experience of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Technically speaking, if I use the language of modern science,
Mm-hmm.
as we discussed earlier, everything is hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Prana, apanayor, grandhi.
Mm-hmm.
You learn to activate your glands.
Mm-hmm.
Then different glands will be activated.
Mm-hmm.
Different secretions will be produced in our body. Based on that, we will have different experiences. That experience is called consciousness. So different dimensions of consciousness are there. I cannot say there is nothing. It is there, but how we reach there? Again, I have to bring back to the same analogy.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying to explain about the virtue of colors or the different dimensions of like a colorful experience to a blind man.
Yes.
What will do?
Yes, we
We
can
will
just,
keep trying.
yeah, we can just try our best to describe in words, but the experience cannot happen. The full understanding cannot happen.
So until that person's vision is clear, the questions will be keep coming. There is no end. Same way, so long as our third eye is blocked, these questions will not end. But the moment when we do yoga chitta vritti nirodha, when we arrest the functions of our five senses, the third eye, sixth sense will be opened, activated. There, all these questions will be answered from within.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So now we are exchanging our ideas.
Yes.
Through senses.
Yes.
We recognize it.
Yes.
My words are falling on your ears. Ears are capturing it, converting the sound waves into electromagnetic waves and slowly sending it to the inner core of our memory storage. There, this is formulated into different things.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, neurons will be active, acting each other like receptors, modulators. Technical things we can write many things, or
Right.
we can say.
Right.
Then we come to an experience that, yeah, I understood. We are exchanging ideas. But the moment if I give you an injection of a morphine or an LSD, your plane of consciousness will change. then that interaction is not possible.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? You are into a different plane of existence or experience because of that intoxication or the drugs activation.
Mm-hmm.
This is what is happening.
Right.
But instead of giving you that injection, if I hold my breath and focus my mind into a different way,
Mm-hmm.
what will happen? Certain glands will be activated,
Mm-hmm.
certain secretions will be in my body, then I will fall myself into a different plane of existence. Then you may label me as, oh, now Guruji is in trance.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Right. So, Guruji, what you're telling us is that as the chemistry of the body changes, whether it changes through a drug or whether it changes through an intoxication or whether it changes through our practice, the chemistry of the body can change to have a different experience. And when that different experience arises, there could be a certain experience which allows you to connect to the in which you're fully connected with the senses, but just how when you have melatonin and you go to sleep and you disconnect from this, similarly we can have different chemistry in our body to connect us to different planes. in the
Yes.
west in the West, Guruji, I mean, they just talk all the time about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. And, we have always heard about the great access that, the subconscious mind can give us to ourselves, right? And then now there's also a lot of this talk about theta waves, gamma waves, beta waves, alpha waves, and that how you function differently and how your brain waves change in each one of those states. And so, Guruji, as a common man, how are we to understand and be able to make use of these states to become closer to ourselves and, enjoy the world in that lahari?
Yes. Same thing. Practice. Every day I say this. Just get into a systematic practice. It is exactly like a person is hungry. He is craving for food. And we are keeping different types of food in front of him, but blocked with a glass. So he can see the food. So maybe mango mixture or pudding or something else, different items are there, label is there, nutritional values, everything is written. The poor guy is looking here and there, but he is not getting a chance to experience the taste of the food. This is what is happening in modern world. We are talking about alpha, beta, theta activity, many things. Okay, we have serotonin, we have melatonin, then many things are there. Oxytocin is there. But what is the use of reading all these things? Maximum what modern science is doing, they are taking the vibration of the brain. When a person is sleeping, it is recorded. Oh, this is labeled as that alpha activity or beta, theta. Many levels are there. But that person who is experiencing that state, it's happening by itself. Like melatonin. Melatonin is produced in our body, especially in our frontal area, this pineal gland. But we have no control over that. And we don't know how it's happening, why
Right,
it's happening.
right,
It's like it is connected with the circulation, the rotation of Earth.
right,
So based on that, after few hours of being in tune with the rotation of Earth, body has a biological clock.
right,
Based on that, it will be activated. By the
right.
time this melatonin is produced in our body, we slowly fall into sleep. When we reach to subconscious level, if we use an EEG, and we can come to know, oh yeah, the brain wave is changing. And
Mm-hmm.
we label it something like alpha, beta, gamma, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is shown in the paper, we can read it. But what is the use of reading that?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who
Mm-hmm.
is experiencing is not aware of that. The person who is reading on the book is not understanding what it is. So it has a mysterious existence.
Mm-hmm.
That is why we always say mind is mysterious. So how we can remove the mystery of the mind?
Mm-hmm.
Focus your mind on the mind itself. That process is called meditation. Usually, mind is used to observe, analyze external things through the senses. But here, we completely avoid our senses. We don't want to see, we don't want to hear, we don't want to smell, we don't want to taste or touch. Then we have to see what the mind is doing. So mind will start observing the mind. That is meditation. When we do that, then once melatonin is produced, our inner consciousness or what we label as mind will see, okay, now something is happening. We can create an artificial relaxed state of sleep. That is what we do. We sit in a comfortable posture, train the muscles to relax as relaxed in the sleep. There we are fooling the gland. So gland is little like a misinformed. Oh, muscles are being relaxed as the person is going to sleep. Now what I should do? Then the gland will start producing melatonin. It's what is happening. Artificially, through systematic practice, we start stimulating that organ. Once it is produced, our mind is not falling into that sleep state. It is an artificial sleep, conscious sleep. There we can observe how things are happening in our system. Like that, these different secretions we can create or produce by activating different glands. That's why Master said, Prana Apanur Granthi. Serotonin, melatonin, then cortisol. The wonderful thing is cortisol, even this adrenaline, all these things we consciously can produce. When we produce that, we can observe what will happen in our system. It's an amazing experience, the most powerful intoxication which we can experience. That is why it's called Ananda Lahari. Lahari in Sanskrit, intoxication. It's a conscious intoxication done by ourselves, but it is very powerful as well as under control and constructive. When we take artificial intoxication from outside, it will be destructive, out of control. That is the only difference. Both are intoxication. So as this intoxication, the degree of intoxication changes, we can experience different plane of consciousness.
Wow, Guruji, so far when anybody used to, when I was growing up and anyone said that meditation or a practice can give you pure bliss and joy, I used to feel like that was so boring. It can't. How can it be so boring? You're sitting and you're not doing anything. It must be so boring. But as I talk to you and as I continue to practice, I've been able to understand so far we switch into states of consciousness from awake to sleeping, from conscious to unconscious to subconscious without even knowing. We just involuntarily. So what Guruji is saying that we allow our body to do everything involuntarily. And we just continue to engage with our senses. In fact, Guruji, we are so far away from understanding, even when we are going from that conscious to like unconscious, when we are getting sleepy, the only way we understand is when our body feels tired, or when we are yawning, or we see the time, because we are
Yes.
so far away from that self-awareness. But all of these chemical changes, firstly, that have great opportunity in our body, right, Guruji? Because there's opportunity when you're going into those states. So we are not only missing that opportunity because we are unconscious of the conscious states, we are unconscious of all the consciousness.
Yes.
So instead of that, now we can learn to regulate our own states of consciousness. And that can only happen when we disengage the senses, because when we're engaging outside, then you're only doing it from the conscious brain.
And right means we don't have a choice, but you have to become very awake to engage with the outside world. But when we go inside and we rewire ourselves, we create the different chemicals that are required to experience those different states. Now the whole world resides within us. We don't need the alcohol. We don't need the intoxicants. We don't need those worldly experiences because we are able to just do this whole thing with our own minds and meditation.
Of course, this is the eternal freedom. We will not look forward for something outside. We will become the creator for ourselves. I mean, the Brahma. In Sanskrit, Lord Brahman is the creator. Aham Brahmasmi. What does it mean? I am the creator for myself. If I can produce everything for myself, the most wonderful thing in my life, who else I have to wait for? I am not depending on anybody. I am fully, independent, and I am depending on myself. That is the state of God. A person who can reach to that level of understanding, of experience, what name we can use to call him?
Yeah, is connected to the divine. Divine.
Again, divine is only an expectation.
Yeah.
It is an external manifestation of our mind. We have great expectation. Why we, appreciate the heavenly life? Because what we are missing over here, we imagine that we will get somewhere else. That is only an imagination. But we can produce our own heaven within the self. So if I produce my heavenly life for myself, who am I? I am the Indra. I am the Brahma.
Absolutely, Guruji. Absolutely. And Guruji, when you're saying this, and I have been experiencing for the last 1 or 2 years bliss in my meditation. I don't miss it for anything. It's been like that. But I have to be honest, for many years before that, it felt like that, Visha coming from the Samudra Manthan. So initially, when people start a meditation practice, it was very hard, Guruji. My father sent me for Vipassana when I was 15, which is 15 years ago. No, sorry, 25 years ago. And I did it, and it was very difficult. And I continued to try, and I didn't enjoy it. But the last 2, 3 years have been purely bliss, and I don't miss it for anything. So, Guruji, now when people want to start a meditation practice, it brings up so many things. So, Guruji, can we address that? What does it bring up? And then maybe talk a little more about this, if there is any control we have over the states of consciousness in our meditation. But can we start talking about that when we start meditating, why is it so challenging?
We feel it is very challenging because we are not prepared enough. If I try to climb Mount Everest, I should prepare my body and I should be equipped and trained. If I am trained and equipped and prepared enough, then it's not very challenging. It's an enjoyment and conquering that height. But if I'm not trained, equipped and prepared, it will be challenging and maybe risky also.
So how do you think?
The person who is really want to enter into meditation, first that person should approach an experienced person. Get training from him. First understand exactly what meditation meant. Here people are doing something as meditation with a great expectation. They think when I meditate, my intellect will be becoming more sharp. Then I can read others' mind and I can get things, done easily. I mean, actually, they are making their prison more strong by doing this. Meditation is meant to obliterate, to remove the man-made, self-made prison, because we are imprisoned by the fabric of senses. How far you can see, how far your vision goes, how far your the capacity of listening goes, how far your taste goes. We have limited, like a world. of experience, and we are clinging to that. Clinging on that, we want to enjoy more and more or explore more and more. We need possessions. Improve that possession or getting more possessions and make it more easy, we want to meditate. It's entirely, against the purpose of meditation.
Meditation, yes.
People are going to temples or churches or mosques. What do they do there? Many of the people I saw, they go to temple, offer something to God, saying that, hey, Mr. God, I gave you this much, get me 10 times back. So, I don't think God is doing a finances job. Many people are doing that. They offer many things to God, thinking that my desire should be fulfilled.
Yeah.
How can it be possible?
Yeah.
So meditation is purely understanding of our own existence, and it has no compromise. It doesn't mean that we have to give up everything.
Right.
No need to do that. But
Right.
we should be as honest as possible with ourselves. At least when we close our room, when we start talking to ourselves, we have to tell the truth. I am born. I don't know how I am born, why I am born. And I am living. I don't know why I am living. And I am sure that one day I will die. I don't know why do I die. After death, where will I go? Nobody knows. So spend at least 24 to 30 minutes a day for finding answers for these questions unconditionally. There, if we try to focus our mind in the body, meditation will happen by itself. That is what is called unconditional approach towards our reality. That is the qualification for getting into meditation. When we do that, the hidden things will come out. The impressions which we were not aware of will come out. So accept it, witness it, then deal with it. That is what is called the preliminary experience or exercise of meditation. That is why meditation should be kept as private as possible. When we try to take it out, or if we try to convey to another person, we cannot explain our experiences through the senses. When we try to explain, it will be distorted. Naturally, it will be distorted. Then when that other person hears that, his power of understanding will also distort further. Then a totally changed idea will be existing after the discussion. Then that will complicate our life. What is our life? Life is only an understanding and exchange, nothing else. Why we are scared of doing something? Because we have the fear of losing. If a person comes to me and says some bad words, I want to be furious to him. I feel that I am, getting angry. But immediately my consciousness will say, oh, if you show your anger, maybe your business deal will be collapsing. Because that will warn me that, hey, hold on, don't show your real anger. Because I'm scared to express my feeling. Why? They're scared of losing the business. So the external world, material world, is only an exchange of ideas and materials, nothing else. So when we sit alone in our meditation room, we can be as honest as possible to ourselves. There, we have to attend the upcoming things, accept it first, acknowledge it, then deal with it. That will become an intoxicated activity.
Absolutely, Guruji. Absolutely. You gave so many great insights in this. what Guruji is saying, we all meditate because we think, oh, meditation is going to make me focus better on the outside world. Oh, meditation is going to improve this in my life. And that is completely the opposite of what meditation is. Meditation is to explore the world within you. It is for the understanding of that this is eternity, this is what lies within you, that bliss, that joy that we are seeking outside is within you with that exploration, how one we are with everything else. So when we start meditating, to meditate with just curiosity, with just the curiosity of our mind and its abilities, and we'll just sit and observe. And the other thing, Guruji, which was very useful, what you said is that communicating meditation with others can actually be so confusing. Because if I try to communicate my experience to somebody, they will understand it through their lens. And when then they try to practice it and then they don't feel the same, then it becomes so technical and frustrating. When the truth is that meditation is not technical. There is no right and there is no wrong. It is just an unbiased exploration, unbiased curiosity of our own mind, and each person's minds could be very different. And the real preparation of meditation is the attitude with which you're going into meditation. It's nothing else. And there is no right and there is, it seems to me from what you're saying, Guruji, that there is no right and wrong. It's just the sincerity in the exploration of ourselves.
See, that's what I will give you one of my experience.
Yes, I really love to hear those.
If I tell my experiences, majority of the listeners may think that I am exaggerating or I am, simply bluffing. Anyhow, that is why it has no relevance to explain things.
Right.
Because others cannot experience them.
Right.
Anyhow, after I got the vision of Hanuman.
Uh-huh.
So I used to see like a huge structure or a huge person. We cannot label what it is, but I can say Lord Hanuman.
Mm-hmm.
Always I used to see two legs on both sides of my body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always like the baby elephants. How do they walk? Under the body,
Yeah.
the legs of the
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah. Yes.
So I always feel that I am walking under these two legs.
Uh-huh.
Never I feel scared. I don't know what fear is.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things, these chemicals will make wonderful changes in our body.
Right.
So one day I didn't tell this experience to anybody.
Right.
But one day it happened around 12 years ago. In Intimacy, the land where we constructed Intimacy, I bought this one first time. It was a hill with only bushes.
Yeah.
Nothing more here. Yeah. So first I tried to get a like an electric connection. So I made a small structure where our watchman is living now. So first structure was made over there and applied to the KACB electricity board. These guys came and we got the electric connection. So one day evening, my wife and myself, along with my driver, the three of us came here around 8 o'clock night to check how the electric connection of the bulbs, everything is okay like that, to verify. So we came over here, and it was empty land, only one small structure. So I checked all rooms, I came out. And my wife was walking behind me, just 2-3 feet behind me, and the driver was locking the door. So I almost reached to the vehicle. All of a sudden, my wife got scared and she, grabbed my hand. I felt she was really shivering. I thought she might have seen some snakes or something like. She was so scared.
Yeah.
And I held her firmly and I asked her what happened. And she couldn't speak for a few moments. Then she came back to normal state and she told me that she saw a huge structure which was touching to the sky, and she was so scared. And immediately she felt it was dressed up like me, long kurta and pajama, something like that. Then she became conscious about her present state. This is what happened. This is what she told me. Even you can verify with her.
No,
So actually,
I believe that 100%, Guruji. I'm just saying that sometimes we find she found herself in another state and then she could see this.
now what happened now? Of course, she shares my energy. She's very clearly written our yogic text. Man is like a bull. He is supposed to do the job, but he will not be rewarded the way as he works. Like if I get 100 rupee because of my meditation, 50 rupee, 50% of my achievement will be going back to mother, because she was the provider for my body, everything. So 50% of my effort, the reward of my effort will be taken back to mother. 25% will be taken back to the wife who is sharing the life. Then the rest, 25% only, I own. So it's not a profitable job, meditation.
And how
Oh
much do
man,
children get? How much do children get, Guruji? I'm becoming
nothing.
very mathematical about this. Children get
Children,
nothing.
children are equipped with parents to do themselves. If they are girls, they will get from their husband. And if they give birth to a son, they will get, as mothers, they will get 50% of their effort. That is why in Manusmriti it is written, Nastri Swadandriyam Arhati. Means our modern feminists are interpreting like that. Oh, this is a discrimination. Ladies are not supposed to have the freedom. Tandram. Tandra means self, preparation. Actually, ladies are not supposed to do this strenuous job, because they are naturally blessed to get that, because they are the producers. Being a mother, she is producing a sage. So she is by nature, she is eligible to get 50% of the man's effort. Then why should she work hard? This is the meaning. Anyhow, what I am saying is, if I say these things to my wife, earlier if I had said that, she could not have understood it, because her neurons or her intellectual level may not be capable of understanding exactly what I was trying to express. But when in that particular time, maybe because of the latitude and longitude and the vibration of the land, she got that trigger, getting that activation of certain glands for a temporarily. Immediately she saw that. But gurus are so careful. If she was not seen in my dress code, she would have been losing her mental control, because she's not a trained person. So she got the vision. She was blessed to get the vision, but same time, certain signals given, and to bring her back to the ordinary level of consciousness. So she thought that, yeah, it's my husband, but how he can grow like this? So that thought brought her back to consciousness. This is how everything is intrinsically calculated and organized. So like that, each and every gods or idols explained in our tradition, Shiva, Vishnu, Skanda, Kartikeya, Ganesha, then Krishna, Parashakti, Bhairavi, all these things actually we can see. I have written a book, Aham Brahmasmi, where I explained all my experiences. I wrote in Malayalam. It is coming to be in English within 2-3 weeks. We already did the translation and corrections. So what I'm saying is, everything is possible. We may think, oh, these are all exaggeration. Exaggeration is only for mind which has not got proper training.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, Guruji, and I'm just thinking we're so blind, right? As the whole modern world, we're so blind. We don't believe in these states because we're like, we only believe what we see through the eyes, right? Generally, that is the belief. But even the person who sees through the eyes cannot understand what is going on when he's sleeping. So that by itself tells us that there are so many other states. Thinking that we're such intelligent species, we can still not understand what happens in our brains fully when we're sleeping. And we visit different worlds, we have dreams, we are in a different plane. So similarly, there are planes in between. And just how the awake and the sleeping plane look completely different. You know,
Yeah.
in the awake plane, you're visiting everything and experiencing through your five senses. In the sleeping plane, you're still having experiences with a body that's asleep. So similarly, your wife caught herself in a moment which was somewhere in between. Uh,
Yeah.
and in each state, the ability to comprehend it becomes different, completely different. What you perceive, what you conceive is completely different. And while we are only familiar with, the awake state and slightly familiar with the sleep state, there is so much more to explore in between. And Guruji, with his meditations, was able, and Guruji, it's so funny. I've seen somebody, one of my very intelligent cousins. She's super intellectual, needs math for everything. Everything needs to be calculated and proven and hypothesis and research. And she and I went for a meditation camp, where there was a lot of kumbhak about 2 years ago. And when she came, she was always questioning everything. And she was like, oh, but this and that. By the third day, she had something happen and something happened in her body. And suddenly she started seeing, she was like, there's somebody around me all the time. But there was no fear around it, right? It was just a comfort feeling. And then we were walking near the ocean, and then again she saw that figure. And it was
Mm.
just, so I completely believe that. I mean, everybody out here, right? Just how we don't know what happens in sleep, we don't know what can happen in various planes. And through meditation, we can have access to it. So, Guruji,
Yeah.
I have one question. Guruji, what is the significance of Brahma Muhurat then? I have also found that in the morning, that I can meditate differently. In the rest of the day, it slows down a little bit, that level of. So, is there a significance of the Brahma Muhurat of the early morning hours?
Again, it is a scriptural explanation where Brahma Muhurta. Brahma Muhurta is when our solar nerve and lunar nerve become equally strong. Most of the time, it will be having certain difference. When we get up from the sleep, come out of the sleep, after a proper relaxation, both will be having that equilibrium. When that equilibrium is possible or existing, if we meditate, meditation will be more fruitful. Here, Brahma Muhurta can be produced if you are trained. Have you seen this, the picture of the sages? They used to keep a small stick with a arc-shaped top and a staff. Usually they keep their
Yes,
arm on that.
yes, yes, yes,
It's
yes.
called yoga danda. They
Yeah,
keep on bottle for water bottle, traditional bottle, and this other hand they will hold this yoga danda.
yes.
Actually, you know why it is kept with them? When they want to meditate, they will see which nerve is solar nerve or lunar nerve is activated. What is the difference?
Ah.
And if my solar nerve is more powerful, I will keep the yoga danda in my left armpit and hold. Then it will lose its strength. Then the balance will come. If the lunar nerve is Chandranadi is
Wow.
more powerful, I will press it over here. It's a marma activation. Press it over here, it can be balanced. So Brahma Muhurta means Murta means we have to elevate the mind. Brahma means towards the Brahma. So Brahma Muhurta means the time when you have to elevate your mind, your consciousness, your attention towards Brahma is Brahma Muhurta. That is the yogic explanation. But Vedic explanation is early morning between 4:15, 4, something like that. It's only, geographical. In America, the rising sun time is entirely different than India. So how the Brahma Muhurta will match? It depends on the person's level of nadi. That's all.
Wow, you can create Brahma Muhurat. I love that. You can create Brahma Muhurat. Create the
Yes,
equalized.
we have to create Brahma Muhurta. Then only we can become Brahma. We are all Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Where they are? They are in our body. Brahma is in our lower chakra. Vishnu is in our middle area. Maheshwara is in the top area. Brahma Nadi, Vishnu Nadi, or Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, and Maheshwara Grandhi, Rudra Grandhi.
Yes.
The three are in our body. When we activate that, we are that three. When we combine that, we will become Om, Shabda Brahma, Nada Brahma.
Lovely, Guruji. And even last time you had said that, that uniting of the masculine and feminine energies, which also exists within us in one body, and
Yes.
the release of cortisol that can bring about and bring you into that autonomic nervous system, that autonomic state. So you explained that last time as well. And now, that kind of adds on to this, that the Brahma Muhurat is a time which it's a state, more than a time, it's a state. It's a state that where your Surya Nadi and Chandra Nadi are both having equal function, and because of that, the energetic reality in your body is a certain way, and in that certain way, you're able to experience a little bit differently from what you would if one of them was blocked.
Yes, when this both nadis come into equilibrium only, they can unite. Once the Surya Nadi, Surya Chandrama Suraikyam, when they unite each other, then Hatha Ityabhidiyade. Once they become one, the both will lose their identity. Like hydrogen and oxygen, once it dissolve each other, both will lose their identity and water will be evolving. Same way, solar nadi, lunar nadi merge each other. Then the Brahma Grandhi will be activated. Activation of Sushumna. The third factor will be activated. There, Rajaso Redaso Yogo, Raja Yoga Idis Smrda. Means, once it happened, different glands will be activated, Grandhis, Brahma Grandhis will be activated. That will secrete many hidden, like hormones, we can say. Technically, it's called, in Sanskrit, Srava. Srava means which can deliver.
Yeah.
Yes. So these discharges will give you Redas. Redas is the state of morphogenesis. There you will come to know how your energy is transforming into matter molecule. There, the difference between mind and matter will be revealed to us. That is what is called Brahma Rahasya, the secret of creation. When you understand that, you are that. This is what is called Raja Yoga, Rajaso, Redaso Yogo, Raja Yoga in Smrda. That state of understanding, experience is called Raja Yoga. When you have that, you are a Raja Yogi. These Raja Yogis experienced many things and they symbolized their experiences given to us as millions and millions of ideas. I mean gods. How many gods are available in India? Millions of gods. That means they could experience millions of planes of experiences or existence. And they symbolized with different ideas. And instructed that how you can reach to that symbol, that ideology. That is called Nitya Puja or Nitya Achara. Daily practice can be done. If you go through that systematic practice instructed by that master, definitely initially your mind will capture the shape and quality and qualities of that idea. When we understand that, your mind will be into that. That is what is called Murta. Murta means elevated mind. When you have that elevated mind, you will become the Murti.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes, I'm laughing, Guruji, because I'm thinking that here in the US, they say when you live enough with your dog, the dog and the owner start looking the same and
Yeah.
behaving the same manner. So naturally, when you look at your pet dog, you start looking like your pet dog. So when you're saying the murti, and the more you think about the murti, and the more you think about what the aspects of that being or what it symbolizes,
Yes.
naturally you'll pick up on that. Just that's because that's just how you work. You become
Yeah.
yatha mana tatha prana.
Prana. Yes.
Right? So wherever your mind is, that's where energy will flow.
Energy
So
reaches.
that is the significance, that is, if somebody wants to do it, that is Angulamurti. That is the significance of the Murti Puja, because you eventually do that. But that's not where it ends. Like Guruji said, it doesn't have to begin there, and it doesn't have to end there. That could be, if depending on the person, what feels right, that could be a part of your journey. It could not be a part of your journey. Guruji has said it very clearly that he's not endorsing this or that. All he's endorsing is the curiosity of our mind and training ourselves to come in that autonomic system, in that autonomic state through the practice. And then whatever feels natural in our journey, in our path. I love what you
Yeah.
said, Guruji, that even sharing your meditations can confuse others because they feel like they have the exact same path as you, and it may not be like that.
Still again, we can explain in a rational way also that experience. See, many people explain that in the hospitals, they have got that near-death experience.
Mm-hmm.
That is a state of hormonal,
A
like a
different
balance,
consciousness.
or like excess hormones will be produced in the body, or less hormones will be produced in the body. Then they experience that.
I know.
And otherwise, sometimes when we face a dangerous situation, that also can produce a lot of cortisol in our body. That time we feel something different. So like through accidents also, the state of high level meditation can be generated. Even in dream also, the same thing is happening. Many people see many things in their dream. Dream also state of existence. So what meditation does is, it will create systematically all these different levels of secretions and monitor how things are happening. In meditation, things are not happening in a compulsive way. It's happening in a conscious way. In other levels, when dream state or in hospital or because of the danger, it's happening compulsively. That is why people don't know how it happens. But in meditation, these things are happening in a conscious way. That is why we understand the difference between the compulsiveness and consciousness.
So lovely, Guruji. I'm just thinking that the journey from animal to man is meditation. We think the journey from being animal to man is what can we achieve in the world, what can we do in the world, and secure all of that. But really, we are still as unconscious of what our mind is doing. So really, we are as much, like you said, you're worse than the Jantu even, because even the Jantu at least works with his instinct. We don't even work with the instinct. And we're confused between that. But the journey to complete that mindless, half conscious state to a mindful conscious state, that journey is to be completed through meditation. And one more thing that Guruji said before our time gets over that has really stuck with me, Guruji, is that when you said Brahma Muhurat and you said Surya Nari and Chandra Nari uniting, the masculine and the feminine energies uniting, and the Brahma Granthi, which is the first Granthi. And and you said what Raja Yoga is, and the formation of Ritas, even that is actually energetic. And I think that, now I understand the concept of Tantra, at least in this conversation, it makes sense that it is an energetic reality which has the ability to create matter.
Yes, yes.
And it is an example to us that all energetic reality can create matter.
Actually, it's not a creation, it's a transformation.
Transformation.
Energy is transforming into matter, and matter is transforming back to energy. it keeps on oscillating from one dimension to other dimension. But since it's happening beyond, it is a strange thing for us. The moment we understand that the process of nature, we can observe Sakshi Rupena, we can observe it as a witness, then we will come to know, we overcome that fear or ignorance. Yoga is obliterating the ignorance of our mind. That's all.
I'm always so inspired after talking to you, Guruji. Always so inspired. Yoga and meditation can expand the laboratory of our own body. It can expand instead of collecting all of the belongings outside. We can expand the world really inside us to have whatever experiences we want right here. Right now, we are working with
Actually,
such a limited set of hormones, adrenaline, and this and that, and limited state. We are only able to experience certain states of consciousness. But when we go inside, we expand our world, we expand the laboratory of all the chemicals and the abilities our glands have. It's all there.
actually, we are. It's not necessary to expand. You are all naturally
Expanded,
expanded.
expanded. Right now, we are blocking it. We have to just unblock it.
Uh, Anyhow, it's good. It's
Great,
good. At
Guruji.
least you are having that, like intention to understand these things. It's a good quality and it's a good beginning.
Yes, Guruji. But we have to go beyond the beginning. I think beginning is enough of the beginning now, Guruji.
Yeah. See, if it is into a beginning, if it begins, then there is no end.
Yes, it's about the
Yeah.
journey has once the
Yeah.
journey has begun, it doesn't matter
That,
how long and
yeah.
how far it takes you.
The question is whether you are starting the journey or not.
Yes,
That's all. Or starting the effort.
yes,
If you put the effort, definitely a result will come.
yes, yes. I actually had one more question, Guruji, but I'm going to bring it up the next time because we are lack of time, and I actually have a call right after this. But I'm going to bring that up next time because it is, or I'll sit in the sound of silence and maybe it will answer itself.
Yeah, its time is getting over.
Yes, yes, Guruji. Today,
Yeah.
actually, I have a call at 8:30 here. Uh,
Fine, fine.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I will sit with the questions. I will write them down, and if they're useful to discuss for everybody else also, we will
Mhm,
do
mhm.
that.
Okay.
All right, Guruji. Pranam, Guruji.
Right.
Pranam.
Thank you.
Pranam. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your
Pranam to
wisdom,
all.
as always. And
Right.
everybody, Indemasi is open. So I have already, referred one of my clients from London to go here. I said it's your best bet for what she's going through. I said it's your best bet. So anybody else, please contact Intimacy. If you cannot get through, contact me. I will put you in touch and explore what possibilities lie for you for quantum healing, physical healing, healing at every realm, at every state of consciousness.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your efforts. And yes, we will be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you,
See you
Guruji.
next
I
time.
will message you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pranam, Guruji. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I have to run today.